It is really chilly outside. What's up, you guys? Chet-Guthrie, the Dream Poet here, coming to you all with a beautiful, crisp, cold morning in late November. Thanksgiving is about a week upon us, and as a way to continue my commemoration, my vlogging series, since it is Native American History Month or Heritage Month, I thought I would visit the last remaining capital of the Cherokee Nation, New Echota. And this marker says it all. The sprawling town of Newtown, which had stood here since 1819, was designated the seat of the government for the new Cherokee Nation in the Legislative Act of 1825. About 13 years prior to the Trail of Tears, the United States government had given the Cherokee Nation land to create New Echota, and this land was named in honor of Echota, which is up in East Tennessee. It's not that far from the Sequoia Birthplace Museum, but here at this state park was also the site of the Cherokee Phoenix, which was the very first newspaper that was written in a Dole language here in the United States. And this even carried on to it actually became a Supreme Court case. But also here at New Echota is where the treaty for the Trail of Tears was signed. So this was one of the starting points of the Trail of Tears. 3,000 people, over 15,000 people being ripped from their homes and being forced out west. So without further ado, you guys, we're going to check out this state park. We're going to have some fun. So without further ado, you guys, let's do it. Anchor down. And here where this monument stands now, this was the Hicks McCoy house. It was two Cherokee families that lived here, Elijah Hicks and Alexander McCoy, and they were actually some of the first residents in New Echota. This is a proper artist representation of both these sites. Anyway, we are going to check out this this monument. As of today, it looks like the flags are at half-mast. I do believe some tragedy has occurred. I'm not sure what's going on. I mean, I know that sounds bad to me, but here at this obelisk, it says it was erected in the honor of the Cherokee Nation by the United States government in 1931, the site of New Echota, the last capital of the Cherokee Indians east of the Mississippi. And anyway, if you want to read more on that, I mean, this obelisk is very, very large. Yes, I would probably say it stands about 15 feet tall. It's pretty darn big. This flag right here, this is the United Ketowa Band of the Cherokees, flowing. It's really pretty, by the way. And of course, we've got the American flag in the state of Georgia, and the Eastern Band of the Cherokee Nation, which I'm very familiar with. Actually, I did an internship through them. It was very fun. And of course, we have the Oklahoma Band. So anyway, let's get in here and let's do it. I saw that the price, or the entry fee, is only like $7, which is actually not that bad. Kind of looking forward to it. And I find this very interesting. What looks to be the GWY, that is Jagali, or in other words, principal people. I forgot what the other signature there in Cherokee that it is, but let's get in here. All right, this is the map of New Echota on the self-guided tour, but this is also the map. Looks like they're about the same, but this is the general overview of what we're going to be seeing today in this Cherokee ghost town that is more or less preserved in time. So this right here is the depiction of a Cherokee farmstead. During the early 1800s, a typical Cherokee family would have lived on a farmstead similar to this one. And apparently by 1837, over 6,000 Cherokee men and women and children lived in this part of Georgia. So let's check out this first building. It kind of looks like a farmstead. Yeah, this is the barn. That talks a little bit about it. Huh. It looks like some dirt daubers got in here earlier this summer, but looks like that actually might be a grindstone. Correction, that is a slice of wood. But I will say though, as being a former forestry major, I'm kind of thinking that this might actually be a not black walnut. Oh darn it. Chestnut, American chestnut. Nowadays it's a pretty rare piece or type of wood. I don't know, there are a lot of hybrids now, but for the most part it's pretty rare to find an actual one that's still standing. And this is nifty. This is a horse and buggy. That is pretty neat. Looks like they've got the wheels shacked up, so nobody can really go and start moving it anywhere. I wonder what's inside. Just looks like some field stuff. I wonder if they've had any horses in here before, because this is a barn. Looks like this second floor has kind of seen better days. Can't say that I've seen something like that before. I'm guessing this is a part of another fixture on what a Cherokee farm would have looked like. Cherokee farmstead. Yes, I slipped up on my words. Kind of looks like that might be yellow poplar. I mean, the boards are pretty thick. Oh, it's a corn crib. Most common outbuildings in the Cherokee Nation. That's pretty big. Imagine back then, this thing would have been filled with corn. I like corn. I put butter on it, and then everything changed. And I am assuming this is some type of farmstead. I know some of these buildings you can technically go into. I wonder if we can get into this one. Maybe, maybe not. No, it looks like that one's locked. You know what, we'll walk around here. Oh yeah, you can get in here. Awesome. Or at least we can see what it looks like on the inside. Oh, this is cool. Yep. That is what it used to look like back in the day, y'all. Back when this was a livable house. The Cherokee dwelling house. And it does appear that this door is locked with an old English lock. I really dig that. Let's see what's in the other side. Well, there's the bed. And there's the old wool spinny thing. You know what they used to make their clothes with. And at least we not forget the Cherokee baskets. If you go to the Eastern Band or the Western Band or even Oklahoma Band, one of those baskets will run you about $200. But let's see, what is this final building right here? I guess this is the house where everybody would more or less hang out, maybe? I mean, because you have the fire pit right there. You have places where people would sit. Looks like this might explain it. This is the smokehouse. Oh, this is where they would smoke all the meat. I just found this, but I like a town that disappeared. What you don't see. By the late 1800s, the town of Neochota had ceased to exist. All of the buildings, except for the Worcester House, had been destroyed. Even the trees that once shaded the town had been cut and the area cleared for farming. The historic buildings you tour today represent only a small part of what was once the town of Neochota. Many other buildings were located in Neochota, including the four depicted here. The exact sites where these four buildings once stood have not yet been determined. Oh! Well, I mean, still, it's more or less a town that has ceased to exist, or a town that is lost in time. But you have the John Walker Candy House, you have the John F. Wheeler House, you have the John Bell and Joseph M. Lynch House, and Daniel McCoy. Here, just up from us is the town square. Okay, what you were looking at here, this is the town street. In November 1825, the Cherokee Council passed a resolution naming Neochota the national capital of the Cherokee Nation. And it looks like it was all done in 100 one-acre plots. So, in this field right here that you see, this was the town square. Imagine people coming and going, people going about their daily lives, people going to work, people dealing with legal issues and troubles. And speaking of that, there's the Cherokee Supreme Court building. But this is Neochota's first council meeting from 1788 to 1816. This is a proper representation of what the council house looked like. And this is Chief Major Ridge. He was a prominent Cherokee leader during the early 1800s. And while we do that, let's observe the town street, or at least what's left of it anyway. But this is the courthouse building, and this is what it would have looked like. You got John Ross and you got George Lowry. Anyway, this is the seat of the Cherokee government from 1819 to 1830. And let's go in here. Now, there are 2 floors to this. I will say a lot of them look identical, which you all are about to see. It might look like a big church house, but really no, this is the site of the Cherokee Supreme Court. This is where all problems were heard within the Cherokee Nation, all smaller issues that have come about. I know we talked about George Lowry, John Ross, and Major Ridge. I believe they all had a part in the signing of the Trail of Tears. I may have that wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. But just imagine if you got into a pretty big argument, 3 men would preside in this seat, and they would watch you, and they would hand down your sentence. And I imagine you would probably be standing or sitting there or sitting there. And well, if you were found guilty, well, I guess that's your problem then, I guess. Like I said, I mean, they're virtually the same, as you all will see. I think it kind of worked like you had one house and then you had the other, kind of like the House and the Senate. And yeah, all issues would be heard. We have the committee member, Joseph Van, clerk of the council, president of the committee, John Ridge, and David Van. Now this room feels like it has so much more, well, room to it. Actually, I can move around. That seating is way bigger than it was downstairs. I imagine this is where the guy would type everything down, and yeah. Now the one thing I really like about these old buildings that are out here is that they have a very specific smell to them. If you've ever been in like an old house, an old log cabin, they have that very distinct old building smell. I love it. Feels like I have taken a step back in time. Actually, correction, this was the town square of Neochota. Says it right there. So that over there, that was just the town street. My bad. But looks like we have some Cherokee language. Message 1 of Cherokee history. So I guess we do this and we do that.
The Cherokee language is unrelated to the English language or any other European languages. It is, however, related to other Native American languages such as Mohawk and Tuscarora. Working independently, a Cherokee man named Sequoyah had created a writing system for his language by 1821. This feat was particularly impressive.
Well, darn it. Well, I didn't want to hurt my my hands, but well, I'm kind of out of shape, so I shouldn't be doing that. It does appear that this is a house site, though, or at least the foundation of what was once a house. So those rocks that are put there, that's probably all original, I would say. That's pretty big. First I thought that was a fire pit, but no, that is a wishing well. Oh no, this is the well. My bad. Looks like this is well, the Boudinot house, built in 1827. Looks like this is what it was, and this is what it is now. Just the foundation and a well. Oh well. So imagine several thousand people going about their day, walking, working, going to court. Not fun to go to court. Or maybe, well, let's see what this sign is right here. Oh, this is more of the town square. So yes, as I was saying, imagine people coming and going. Now it's just a trail at a state park. Oh, now this is some absolutely amazing history. This is where the Cherokee Phoenix was printed. Georgia had 18 newspapers, including the Cherokee Phoenix. Now the Cherokee Phoenix, it was the only, well, it was the first dual language newspaper in the entire United States. But anyway, after the looks like they did about 260 issues before the removal out west. Now the Cherokee Phoenix, it does still exist, but the printing is out in Oklahoma. But they do have an old school printing press. Check that out. That is from the days of the Cherokee, and this is what they would do. Heck, you can even see some of the lineage. Now y'all are probably wondering why the Cherokee syllabary looks so similar to English, and that is because when Sequoyah came up to the printing, or the gentleman who had the printing press that he had, in order to save on some money, they improvised and they used some from the English language. So that's why the Cherokee language or syllabary might look similar to English, but it's not. I think probably so far the coolest thing I've seen here really though is the fact that where I'm walking was the town's road system. Although there's nothing here other than really there's nothing here. For example, what I've been walking on right now, this was the Newtown Road. This was a thoroughfare for the Cherokee Nation. And let's go check out Van Tavern. Now, a cool thing about the Van Tavern is originally this tavern was in Forsyth County, and it was moved here. The building is on the National Registration of Historic Sites. By the way, it's a very interesting seat. They have fur and also for corn mashing. Again, one of those spindly things. Now the man who owned the Van Tavern, his name was James Van, and he was a very wealthy Cherokee plantation owner. And it's kind of interesting, where this house once stood along the Chattahoochee River, it is now a state historic site as well. The more you know. But yeah, here, this is where James Van would take your goods, he'd take your money, and you would get your things traded. And it just smells like a really cool old building. And I think there on the other side of the, there's actually an interesting story with that door that you can barely see. You see, they would cook stuff, and through this little door, they'd hand it to you outside. Even back then, I guess they had fast food, almost, in a way. Now, this next house that we are going to be seeing, it is the only original house in this entire area that is still standing from Neochota. And that house is known as the Worcester house. This house, this cabin, it was constructed by Samuel Worcester back in the 1820s. Now, Samuel Worcester, he was also a pastor. The Worcester house was at one time a church, one time where Samuel Worcester and his family lived, and it's also where parts of the Bible was transcribed into Cherokee. So this house has a lot of historical importance to it, and I'm kind of glad that to this day it has managed to survive. Now, this house was actually the kind of a cornerstone in a Supreme Court case. You see, when all this land was being annexed off, Reverend Samuel Clemens was refusing to leave. Actually, Samuel Worcester, he was arrested, and all of this was brought to the United States Supreme Court because he did not have a permit to live within the Cherokee Nation. Now, long story short, they did win, he and the Cherokee Nation. However, the state of Georgia, and its all incompetent wisdom, still went through with the annexation, and he and his family lost this house. All of this was restored back in the early 1950s, but the older pictures of it, it's pretty fascinating to see what it actually looked like back then. But this was Samuel Worcester and his family's dining room. Wonder what's upstairs. Hopefully there's something pretty cool. Imagine what it must have been like out here during the summer. Okay, again, it's locked. Again, I imagine probably where Samuel's children must have slept. Now, this is gorgeous. All of it is beautiful. And now, you gotta know you're living uptown when you have a weaving room or a weaving loom in a room. And around the house, looks like they had themselves a well. Oh well. Looks like that's also got an old school lock on it as well. And I guess maybe this is a corn crib, maybe. Oh no, this is their smokehouse. Not far from here was Fort Wool, and it was inhabited by General Major Winifred Scott and General John E. Wool, commander of the Cherokee operations. Now, this homestead right here, this is what a common Cherokee farmstead would have looked like, or common, just kind of like your run-of-the-mill family. You would see all these throughout the Cherokee Nation. More specifically on this site was John Rogers and his family. Imagine his wife, his kids would probably sleep up there, and they would sleep down here, and they would do what needed to be done. Not far from the common Cherokee houses, this is land lot 125. And what land lot 125, also a part of 124, this was a survey line when the Cherokee Nation was divided in 1832. It was determined on what Georgia citizens could have by this landline right here. 124 and 125. So it's a very interesting piece of historical value, especially from the Trail of Tears. Now this is the final building that's on site out here. This is the Cherokee Supreme Court building. That one building that I showed you all, that was actually the council building. That's where Neochota would have conducted their business, that building right here. But this building right here was this is where all the major stuff would happen within the Cherokee Nation. This is kind of where, well, if you did something really bad or did something that needed correcting, it was in this building right here. And anyway, as you can tell, the woodwork on that is really beautiful. And I'm guessing to me, it worked the exact same way. Very identical to one another. One law, or one thing that needed correction, would go up here. Or I'm guessing that's probably how it would work. This has been a very interesting vlog. I'm very glad that I did all this series for the Native American Heritage Month, because there is so much that you can learn about, at least in this part of the United States, about the Cherokee Nation and even the people that came before. I mean, for example, I mean, you had the Supreme Court House, and then you had the Council House, kind of like Tennessee state government, DC. So I guess if you make one mad, it's not that hard to get to the other. But anyway, guys, remember, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon. Always means a lot, goes to show that y'all care and that y'all want to see more awesome videos. So without further ado, you guys, vlog over.